Good morning. So, today I'm talking about failure. Now, last night I went to a fantastic Professional Speakers Association meeting, and one of the presentation was about failure. Now, I've always believed that failure is purely feedback. Other people see failure as failure. Now, I think it's just a really good idea to have a reflect on how you feel about failure. Now, when I was in the military, you could say a mission failed if it didn't succeed. However, the learning was always absolutely magic, and we always had a really strict after review, exploring what obviously was if it was a big mission like Afghanistan, that's huge, challenging. But I think there's other small missions that we would always, whenever anything to go wrong, and I was in healthcare, so if any patient sadly died unexpectedly or anything, there was always a big review as to what happened. And particularly when I was in Afghanistan, where we had seriously ill soldiers coming in, some survived, and actually while I was there, a huge privilege to witness the extraordinary surgeons who redefined a non-survivable injury. So after any major incident, whether it went well, whether it didn't go well, we always had a process to review it, to learn the lessons, to find out everyone's okay, get viewpoints from everyone. And it's a really great process to put in place on a daily basis in every aspect of life. So we had our daughter, who's now 23. She's the blessing of our life. We had three rounds of IVF to have her. Now, the first 2 rounds didn't work. Now, they were failures. They were called because the aim of IVF is to have a live child. The fact that I didn't get pregnant was seen as a failure. However, yes, it was painful at the time. I knew that the team that was supporting me learned so much for how I reacted to the drugs, how I, all the practicalities of the process of IVF, which is quite intense. And so therefore, the third time lucky, it was amazing. And I think, and here we are, so she's about to have her 24th birthday. So I think, yes, at the time, it can feel like real failure. It can feel you haven't achieved the mission, that the intention of the process. If a project fails because you haven't met a deadline or whatever it is, there are certain things that we see as failure. However, it can really help if we choose every failure as a feedback, as I say, because that takes the sting out of it. Just as I see every challenge as a learning opportunity, because we can learn in the hardest times. That's probably when we have our greatest learning. So have a think, look back on your life and things where you saw as failure. What did you learn from that? So I think when I was at school, if you didn't get 50%, it was a fail. And I know, and however, actually, yes, I mean, there are times we have to pass a certain criteria, certainly GCSEs, A levels, degrees, masters, blah, 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 PhDs, etc. You have to reach a certain level for passing. But I think it's also reflecting on what was the learning here to do better next time, if that is the learning that's required. So that's my little tip for today, is having a think about how you view failure, because actually what your failure is might be other people's success. And I remember, when we were doing exams, if somebody got 80%, they'd feel, what happened to that other 20%? I failed, I didn't get 100. And so some people think, whoa, 80%, whoa, that is amazing. I can't believe I did so well. Somebody who's expecting to get 100% or 95% could see that, oh, I've lost 15, 20%. What's happened to it? I failed because I didn't get the 100%. And so this is a really good point, is it's perceived by different people in different ways. So just have a think how you view failure. What is failure? But however, in those failings, we get our greatest learning. And this is where innovation comes in. Innovation is a big experiment. We cannot succeed in innovation unless we wait to fail, because we learn so much in the process. It's an experiment. We don't know. We've got no guarantee of the outcome. And there's some organizations that have like head of experimentation. They feel if their teams are not failing every day, they're not moving forward because they're not innovating. They're staying with the fear and not wanting to change and make a difference. So some organisers actually embrace the failing. And if they're not failing, they're not doing well because they're not growing in that respect. So my thoughts for you today is view failing as feedback. And what can you rethink about something that happened in your past where you might have seen failure, but actually reality was your biggest triumph. So take care, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.